Alrighty. So if you missed it, I am Carmen Diaz. I am the VP of Advocacy for NYS TESOL, and I saw that Google Apps was one of the ones that people were requesting during online PD. So thank you for being here. I want to share with you that this presentation is differentiated, which I highly recommend. You can take it at your own pace. You now have the link in the chat for the bit.ly on the very first slide that I'll show you in just a moment. But I just want to let you know, you want to make sure that you take this at your own pace. So everyone has a different level of overload. And so when you hit that level, if it's early on, if it's later on, or if you don't hit that level, that's great. But whenever you're done receiving new information, just sit back and absorb, because at one point you're going to go, oh, I remember that Carmen Diaz girl said that there was a tool I could use, but I wasn't listening at that point because I was at too much information. So you'll always be able to go back to the recording and check that out again, and you'll have the slides. They can be self-study as well, because there's lots of videos and links for you. Also, I talk very fast, which is not best practice for ELLs. So I want to let you know that if I am going too fast, like I said, breathe. You'll be able to go back and rewind at a later date. And I always recommend that too if you're doing online classes. If you can record the class, if your district or your school allows you to do that, I would recommend that, because going back and reviewing things, especially for English language learners, is so important. Also, there are a couple pausing points in this session. So if you have questions, what may happen is the chat can get overwhelmed with comments and questions. You're welcome to use that to interact with each other, but I won't be able to see the chats during the pausing points if there's too much going on. So I ask that if you have questions about the specific section I'm talking about, save that question, like maybe type it up in the chat ahead of time, but don't send it until I'm ready for the pausing point. And that way I'll be able to target your question right away and then answer it, hopefully. And then also, I'm going to share my screen for a moment so you can kind of see how I run some of these slides. So this is a slide that I got free from Slides Carnival. I love Slides Carnival for the free templates and things. This is a multi-racial cartoony kid slide, but here's the bit.ly for you. And then I also want to share with you, if you are in this slide right now, which it looks like many of you are, I can see you up here. In the speaker notes, a lot of times there are links to more resources. So if you are looking for links and I say, hey, it's linked on this slide, that's usually what I mean, because when I'm in presentation mode, you're not going to see the notes. So feel free to interact and engage with these slides. And I created this for NYS TESOL. I've done this training a bunch of times for different organizations. I also work for the Arburn in the Capital District. So you can feel free to take these slides, share them with whoever you like, reuse them, recycle. Please take it and use whatever you need, okay? The slide program was called Slides Carnival. If you go on your favorite search engine and type in Slides Carnival, you'll be able to check that out. And if you want a direct link, the very last slide, I always leave to credit the Slides Carnival. Excellent, you're already helping each other out. Great job in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna hit present. Like I said, just make sure you are muted, and then if you get too far into the weeds, take a breath, get up, stand up, take a break. This will be recorded. You can come back to it. I'm also going to go in and, oh, wow, that font came across really weird. Okay, I apologize. I'm going to go into my Google Drive and walk you through some of these steps as well. So, as I mentioned, I am VP of Advocacy for NYS TESOL. If you're interested in the position and you have any questions about the position, we'll be nominating new colleagues for that position. I am on the board of NYS TESOL, so great opportunity. You've got lots of friendly faces and engaged workers who are trying to affect change for the state of New York and really TESOL in general. Feel free to email me, ask me questions about the position. The new round of voting happens in the fall, so we'll be looking for that. So here's my personal Gmail, and then these are just some qualities about me. Goals for today. We're going to cover classroom, docs, slides, and drawings, and then I'm going to give you some bonus translation tools at the end, and then some extra resources. So I'm showing you some basics for how to use these tools, but also I'll give you some strategies for utilizing the tools to meet the needs of your ELLs. But keep in mind, some of it, if it's too basic for you, feel free to watch the videos. You're muted so that I can't hear you. That's perfect. But you want to make sure that you are you know, going at your own pace. So if you're already past the basics and you're like, Carmen, I already know how to do this for Google Classroom, that's fine. There's some extra tips and tricks on the slides as well. Okay, so I built this PD probably, goodness, 2 years ago, and I started doing different iterations of it I started at NYS TESOL, one of the conferences, and I've just been adding and tweaking it from there, but it's based on this article from I think it's NPR, it says at the bottom. I apologize for this font, but basically there are nearly 5 million ELLs, and educating them in English and all other subjects, because we teach it all, is one of the biggest challenges in public education. And now we're remote teaching and learning. So thank you for all you're doing. And I'm hoping some of these tools will help you with that challenge today. So from this Edutopia article, there's some do's and don'ts of TESOL, and I appreciate you if you're already familiar with these. But if you're not, remember, we want to model, weight, use visuals, give verbal and written instructions, check for understanding, and we want to encourage the use of first language. And then these are some don'ts. But thinking about how we might utilize these do's during remote teaching and learning. Okay, so is the extra time spent on technology worth it? And I would say absolutely it is. Just like someone asked you, is the extra time spent communicating with families worth it? It takes up a lot of your time, but in the long run, and especially during these times, that communication has been crucial to your success probably during this time. So keep in mind, the technology piece can also help you, but we're not just throwing in tech tools to solve a problem. Sometimes tech can, over tech use can hurt more than help. So just be very cognizant of what you're implementing. Okay, so we're diving in. We're gonna go over these different Google Apps, and if you already have a Google Apps for Education account, or if you have a Gmail, you're able to access all of these items, and you can do this along with me if you would like. I would encourage that. So the first piece we're gonna talk about is Google Classroom. And as I said, I'm gonna be hopping out and showing you how to do these things in my Google Drive so that you can actually see this alongside me. And you can kind of see in the slides here that there's a video. I actually walk you through each step again. So if you need to take it at a slower pace, as I mentioned, I am a differentiator, and I did that for you here as well. So going into Classroom, and after we finish the Classroom, if you have questions about it that I can answer at this time, I'm happy to answer. Just save your chat information for that time. So I will definitely address those questions. So going into classes, to log into Google Classroom, you want to, if you've never done it before, you're going to open a new tab and type in classroom.google.com. And I'm already logged in, but if it's the first time you've logged in, it'll say, are you a teacher or are you a student? Really important that you say that you are a teacher. So your classroom, when you create your account for the first time, is probably going to be blank. But if you already have classes, excellent. What you want to do is you want to take this plus sign at the top right corner to create or join a new class. So you're probably going to create your first class right here. For joining classes, so if you are co-teachers or if you already have a class code from someone else, which I'll talk about in a minute, that's how you join a class right there. So if I'm collaborating with someone, or even if I'm a student, I might go to join class here. But I'm going to hit create class so you can see what that looks like. We want to make sure we read and understand the notice. It's because my account that I'm using to teach you here is not a Google Apps for Education account. I'm teaching you on a separate account. But if you are teaching with your school account, you probably won't see that. So creating a class, you want to make sure that this required section contains most of the information you need. So I have different types of names here: test class, Google level 1, sample class, using technology. You can call it whatever you'd like. I have teachers who call it ELA. ELL standalone. You can call it whatever you like. Just remember, if you're doing multiple sections of the same class, you might have more than one named the same. So if you do ELL standalone grade 11, period 1, you might want to be very detailed in that name, because when your students see it, your students may see just this required section. So you can see there's no section or subject or room indicated in my little bubbles here for my different classes in the background. You want to have everything that you want them to see in the top part with the class name. These other pieces are optional. So once you're set with that, you're going to click create. I'm not going to create a new class. I already have a sample class for you. I'm going to jump into this class. So once you create that, if you want to go back and create a couple of classes, you're going to go to the top left corner here where we call them pancakes, or the 3 lines, and you can go to your classes main page like we were just at, or you can see your different classes on the side here. So here's my stream. Yours will probably be blank if you're doing this along with me, but the sample class has a couple of different elements. You're going to have the guides at the top. So you have a stream. Stream is very much like what students will see in social media. That's why Classroom is such a great teaching tool, because it's very intuitive for students who are already using social media. And it's also a great teaching tool. So when I show you the people, I already have a person in here. This is my other account. You can actually email them from here. I'll show you that in a second. But if you select that person, you can remove or mute. Mute means they don't have any capabilities to be able to put comments or posts or things. So the reason why I'm telling you this now is because Google Classroom is this safe space for students to learn the lessons that maybe you don't want them to learn the hard way on social media. So there's a great article on 140 characters that cost me $140,000 for a terrible Twitter post from someone who had a full ride at a scholarship for a college. So this is the learning experience for students, the safe space for them to make those mistakes. And then you can pull them aside and have them learn things just in a safe learning environment. So this is the stream. I've already posted a couple of things for this sample class here, so you can see what I've posted, and I'll show you those posts in a second. But the main part that you want to see up here is the class code. So when we start adding students, it's really important that you have this class code available, because that's going to be the fastest way to add students to your class. So let's go over that first. People. So you can add them manually. Here's where you would add your co-teachers, invite your co-teachers here. Adding students. You can add them by email. However, this is what happens. When you invite them by email, students have to have access to their email to be able to come into your class. So if they are under the age of 13, legally they should not have access to school email. That's just the rules. But if they do have access and they don't regularly check it, it's going to be really hard for them to get that invite. So then they can accept that. But if they do check it regularly, you know your students. They can get it through an invite from you. But the fastest way, as I said, is to stream. So maybe you get them on some kind of video chat like this, and you say, okay, kids, this is my class code. So you're going to put this class code in back at the very beginning. When we did those classes, remember I had the plus sign, join class. You can join by class code here. So just be aware that if you are adding teachers, you want to make sure that you have them under teachers here so that they have the same permissions as you to maybe add assignments. Something really cool yesterday, an ELL teacher said, I invited the classroom teacher to my class, which is the reverse of what I normally see. Normally the classroom teacher invites the ELL teacher, but the ELL teacher had her own class so that she could provide content based on language goals. And then the classroom teacher could then tailor some of the things that he or she was doing in the mainstream classroom to fit the needs of the ELL as well, which is great practice. And I commend those educators for doing that. Okay, so now we know how to add people. Let me just revisit my slides to make sure I'm on track. Okay, add a post. Let's do that. So adding a post is going to be much like adding things in social media, except we're going into classwork and we're going into create. So you can see a couple of things that I've done here. Create, and you have lots of different options here. So if you want assignments, and things that students interact with more than just commenting, you're going to go into classwork. There is another way on the stream just to share something with your class. You can do a little post, you can do a little welcome, and here you can reuse these posts, and you can do this with assignments too. Maybe you want to post this to multiple classes at once. You can do that with all the classes that you have already created. Remember, these were the classes I had at the beginning. And you can choose to have certain posts just for certain students. So I only have one student right now, but let's say I had 10 different students and I just wanted this post to be good for Carmen Diaz because I'm differentiating my needs here. I can just select by student so that one or two or a group of students will see certain posts. That way it doesn't cloud up anything for the other students who don't need to see that. You can also add some things from your drive, which I'll show you in a minute, link, file, and then even a YouTube video. So I found a funny Zoom parody video yesterday, so if I wanted to share that with my class, I could do that here. But if you want them to do assignments and you want things like fancy self-grading things, you want to go into classwork. So you're going to go create, and then let's just do a sample assignment so I can show you. So I can do a test assignment, and what I can do is give them instructions. This is a great way to see if your students are reading instructions on Google Classroom. Again, you can assign it to multiple classes, so maybe you have multiple sections. You can assign it a certain number of points. This is important for grading later, I'll show you. And then due date. You only want to put a due date if you absolutely don't want them to access it after the due date. If you set a due date, once that date has come and passed, they won't be able to access it anymore. So I recommend not doing due date, but it's totally up to you. And then topic is for later. I've already created a topic for ELA, but you'll notice when you start posting a lot, it's helpful to tag it by topic. So maybe this one's going to be under a math assignment. Rubric is new. So I've never used rubric, but you're welcome to play around with that. Google's always trying to make things easier for you. So just know that sometimes you'll see new things and it'll teach you how to use it. And then again, you can add things from the same options as we had from our post. This is important for if you want them to be able to create copies of something. So I'll show you that now just so you can get familiar with that. So if I click Google Drive and I have certain docs, so let's say I wanted them this Google Apps for supporting ELLs slide. Let's say I did instead like my content on slides, which I'll show you in a second, but this is an example. I'm going to select this one. I want that for slides, and then I can select different options here. Maybe I just want them to view that one file, so everyone will have access to watch that one file. Maybe I want them to edit the file, so I'm doing a collaborative project with a bunch of high school kids right now, so I gave them all access to edit the file, and each student is responsible for his or her own slide. Or, this is pretty common, make a copy for each student, and I'll show you a resource in Google Slides that will be beneficial for that. So each student will get their own copy, so when I assign that, it'll say, you know, Carmen's copy of Google Apps for supporting ELLs, and then they can make changes to their own copy without sharing that with other students, unless you want them to. They can share it individually. So a copy for each student is great for if you're assigning like a document. So let's say you're assigning an informative writing piece, and you have your template here of the document you want assigned. You can make a copy for each student, and it automatically lets them have their own copy, and then you can go back into that from one central location. So I'll assign that. It's going to go right to my Google Classroom. Where's my test? Here's my test. And when I click on it, I can see I have one student in my class, so it's assigned to one student. No one has turned it in yet. So what's important about this is students, especially if you put like a Google form for a quiz, I'll show you on my other account. Here's my sample class with as a student. This is what it would look like as a student. In my classwork, I have my math test, which is not really a math test, it's the slides I just posted. And I can view the assignment, I can click on the slides, and it's probably making a copy for me right now. So you can see that this is, or did I put view only? I might have selected view only, I apologize. But this one lets me view it. And then when I go into the assignment, me as a student, before it shows that one person has turned it in, I have to mark it as done. So this is a great piece for you to be able to say to your students, you need to mark it as done. It says, you didn't attach work for your tests. Your teacher will just see it's done. So if you want them to attach other work to this, you could do that there. Marking is done. You can also submit private comments to your teacher from here, but that will show as done on that side. So now I can see, I gotta refresh my screen here. When I go into my classroom, I've got this classwork, and I can see for this one, I've got one turned in now, but I had to go do that as a student to mark as done. Anything you attach there is the same kind of thing. And now I have an assignment, but check it out. I have math, I have ELA. So if I just want to see assignments by topic, this is why the topic was so important. I can click math or just ELA, or I can see all topics. Great. Take a breath. I know I'm talking fast, but you can always rewind when you hit your max, okay? Again, due dates, optional. Include a doc and make a copy for each student. I just showed you that with slides. Grading assignments. So now what I can go and do, see where it says turned in and assigned? I can go here, and now I see who's turned it in. And when I want to see their assignment, I can check that out. And it does go into a folder in my Google account. You can open that folder here. And then I can manually grade it from here. So out of 100, maybe Carmen got a 95, and then I can add a private comment, or I can comment right on the actual item. So now I want to return it to the student. She's going to be notified. You can write a comment here, and so the student will have that grade. Now the student does have an option to turn it back in, so that, you know, productive, I'm always working on me, and then you can regrade it if you need to. Okay, so that's grading. You can also go, let's go back to my class here, and go to grades, and then you can see now that this has been graded, or you can edit grades from right here. Okay, and I haven't shown you these yet, so we haven't gone through these for grades. Students will also have a grade tab. Okay, and then posting discussion questions we did at the very beginning, that was that post question. All right, 2 more slides, and then I'll open it up to questions about Google Classroom. So this is an advanced slide. As I mentioned, it's differentiated for your own needs. So if all that was basic for you, go right to the advanced slide from now on, and you can check out how to do each of these. But again, I want it to be just right for all of the audience here, so I'm not gonna go over these. Guardians is covered in this section. So if you want your parents to be interactive on Google Classroom, they'll be able to see just their students' work on there. So ideas for scaffolding. Thinking about ELLs needs when you're using Google Classroom. So you might be able to create multiple class sections. We talked about that. Just create multiple classes and assign specific assignments to certain students within one class. So I showed you how to click based on students. Maybe you create a class section just for review and background knowledge. So one of my ENL teachers did that when I was working with her. It was great because the ELLs could just pop into that support class, and she posted videos by topic or subject, and it provided that background knowledge for those students. And then you can allow them to post in different languages. What's great about using a device or tablet for Google Classroom is you can use like a translate tool. We had students who spoke Arabic, so they copied their Arabic writing from their Arabic keyboard on the screen into Google Classroom if they weren't comfortable yet typing in English. And so the ENL teacher can grab that, go to translate, and then understand what the student is saying. Use a combination of tech tools to create and post scaffolded materials, which I'll show you in just a minute. And that's what the next slides are. So I'm not going to go into great detail for the next slides. I want to give you some time to ask some questions about Google Classroom before we jump into the next sections. But I'm just going to show you basically what they are. Oh, and here's a little cheat sheet from one of our colleagues, Cogswell_Ben. Thanks, man. If you click on these, and as I mentioned, it's linked in the comments. So if you click on each one of these, it's a slide that he's linked. It's an interactive slideshow that you can click on how to do these things. And he has a little video finding your class code, viewing all assignments, so you can check that out. All right, so one tool that's great integrating with Google Classroom is Screencastify. So one of the first PDs that I did on this topic, I did a screencast over it, kind of like I'm recording my screen now through Zoom. You can use Screencastify to create your own videos. You can embed a little video of yourself in the corner and then go through content. And right now, because of the coronavirus, they give you a code. So I've had premium access for the month of April, which is pretty great. YouTube, you can always find pre-created YouTube videos on YouTube, and you can post them to your Google Classroom. YouTube is a third-party app of Google. I would just recommend, no matter how much time you think you're saving, watch the video you choose all the way through. So even if you watch the first 30 seconds and you think, yes, this is a great one on porosity and permeability, watch it all the way through, because anyone can post to YouTube. You want to make sure that you're understanding what your students are exposed to there. And what's great too is there's a YouTube channel in every country around the world. So if you use a translation tool, I was helping a student learn about porosity and permeability and in Spanish. The problem is I am a transitioning Spanish speaker, and my mom never yelled those words, porosity and permeability, at me as a child. So I didn't know how to say those. So those content specific words, maybe you're looking for a demonstration of what porosity and permeability is in another language. Use a translate tool, search it in YouTube in that language, and then watch that video all the way through. Even if you don't understand the language, usually the videos can help you understand, and sometimes that's better than nothing. And then there's a teacher-created video of a student using a video and a graphic organizer. Also, Khan Academy does something similar to YouTube, but it's a little bit more controlled. There's also videos being translated into 36 languages, probably more by now. Virtual manipulatives are great to link to Google Classroom. Google Forms I'll talk about in a later session, but I just want to point your attention. You can turn your Google form into a digital graphic organizer, which is pretty great. Quizzies you can link. Kahoot you can link to Google Classroom. Socrative is great. A lot of these integrate very well with Google Classroom, but these are some great ways to assess if you're assessing right now. Poll Everywhere, I love this one because it's an assessment, but you can also create like a word cloud. Okay. We're going into the next section. I've talked a lot at you. I want to jump to the chat to see if I can answer any questions. Can an ENL teacher set up an area inside the classroom teacher's classroom? So the only solution I would say to that is by topic. So what the ENL teacher might do is post things under a certain topic like ENL, and then only assign those assignments to the ENL students so that they can just jump into topics that say ENL back in the topic section. But that's why I would say probably creating your own section of Google Classroom is the best way that I've seen it done, but you could also do topics. No one else would see who is getting the assignments. Yes. So if you are just assigning it to specific students, no one else sees that assignment. So it's not, you know, oh, look at that kid who's getting lower grade level material. If you only assign it to Carmen, only Carmen is going to see it. Great question, Laura. There's our president of NYS TESOL. Thanks for joining us. For multiple sections of one grade level, is it better to have separate Google Classrooms for each, or can you do it by creating different topics? So that's going to be a preference thing. So it really depends on what your students are able to see on one screen. So it can get overwhelming if you have one classroom, or you can have multiple sections. So that's really just your preference. Okay, great job saving those questions for the chat. You're doing excellent. All right, take a breath, stand up if you need to. I got an awesome standing desk. I had a quarantine birthday, so check out my standing desk. It goes up and down. I can adjust it. It's pretty great. Okay, if you assign a YouTube, will it run? Okay, that's a great question. So when you attach that YouTube video to an assignment, what you're going to do is, I'll show you what that looks like. So let's say I go to classwork, I want to create an assignment, and I assign the YouTube video. So if I add, I can do a YouTube video right here, biology. I'm just finding a random video for you, biology, and I would definitely want to watch it all the way through, but I've seen this one before because I've used it for other PDs. Thanks, biology. So I've now added this, and I might say watch video and give 3 takeaways. Okay, so if I do that, I can assign it. And then on the student end, it's going to be very similar to what we saw the last time with this turn in and resubmit. So I'm going to go back to my class. Here's my classwork. I've got a new assignment here. Where's my assignment? Here it is. Oh no, here's my assignment. Oh, stream was updated. Show it. Here we go. New assignment, watch video and give 3 takeaways. So I can watch the video by clicking here. I'm not going to do that here. I can add in my comments, my 3 takeaways. Fun. And what I need to do now is mark it as done. Now, if they mark it as done and they haven't watched the video and they haven't turned anything in, then it's going to show it's turned in, but there's no way that I can actually see that they've watched it. They just have to be honest with that. And really, that's how I attach a little, like an assignment or a quiz to it. Okay. Oh, if schools normally block the, oh, I didn't share my screen. Sorry about that. I'm trying to jump in and out. Here we go. So here's the piece here. If I attach the video and I have my student who's turned it or who's assigned. So I'm going to go back to I watch my video, I have to mark it as done, but there's no way for me to see the video. So I apologize that I wasn't able to see that. And if they normally block YouTube videos at your school, you need to talk to your tech department about that because I don't know if Google has a workaround for it right now, but usually it depends on how they blocked it. Is it because there's extra ads? Is it because there's other videos or is it just the video? There is a different setting where the tech department can block YouTube, but allow YouTube videos on Classroom. So talk to your tech department. Okay. Can you use safeu.net? Safeyoutube.net. I don't know about this, but what I would recommend is try it. See if you can, and I'll share my screen so you can see this, when you're attaching something to your assignment. So here's my assignment. If I attach something, let's create another assignment, add, you can add a link. So if you can grab that link from safeyoutube.net and link it there, then you could possibly be able to link them up to the right assignment. Okay. All right, moving on, here we go. Thank you for those questions. Google Docs. So it's important to know about Google Docs because if you're going to add a Google Doc to your Google Classroom, this is where you can have templates for different writing assignments. So these are very basic. So as I said, the next slide has advanced. It shows you how to add hyperlinks, transfer tools into different types, include a table of contents. So if you are already fluent with Google Docs, you can fly right past this and ignore, some of the live training I'm doing, but I wanted to differentiate it for you. So to create a new doc, you have new and Google Docs. And it was super cute. Someone asked me the other day, so where do I hit save? Well, Google Docs is live, and so it saves for you along the way. You don't have to click save. So you're going to rename it here, essay template maybe. Whoops. And then it's very much like word processing. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but what's key here is sharing. Right now it's private only to me, but I can go in and type in, maybe I want to share it with some colleagues. There's my advocacy email. I can also grab the shareable link, so I can just copy and paste this link into like a Zoom chat. I can allow these people to only edit or comment or view. And then I can send it to the people. And if you want to add a little note, it'll pop up in their email. This is the document for an essay template, and then it'll share that with them. And it's very much like Word, but the live links is what I'll show you in a minute. So let's say I want to create an interactive doc for students. Maybe I highlight some specific text, and then I can add a link right here. So maybe I want to link it to like a lesson plan or another website. So I can link that, and then the students will be able to interact with it. All right, what else are we doing? Oh, direct link. So let's say a student is working on this, and I want to give some feedback. So the student really didn't take care when he or she typed this. So I'm going to highlight what I want to give feedback on. I'm going to go up here to comment and comment. And I can say, please revise. Or I can also, if I just comment, it just kind of brings the comment over on the side, but I can also tag that student in this comment. So if I do +, and then an email, there's my other email address, I can, oh, I need to give them access. So I can give them access and comment. And now it's going to send this email address a email saying you need to revise this or whatever comment that I've tagged in there. Direct link, that's tagging emails. Add a comment within a link. You can do this on a PDF too. If you upload a PDF to your drive, you can comment on PDFs now. And then you can also teach students how to add footnotes with source URL. So if they want to cite sources, there's how to do that there. But because that's super specific, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so skipping the advanced one, here's the interactive doc. So I have a link here. Our Arbor and colleagues created these great units, an argument unit and analysis unit before they canceled the Regents. But they're going to have to take a Regents eventually. So this is great practice. And this is actually created on a document. So if you want to click that link, check that out. This is one document, and what they did was they see all the little blue links inside. They used that linking tool that I showed you to insert a link, and it's linked to other documents. It's linked to online quizzes on a Quizlet. It's linked, and it's basically 20 days of plug and play online lessons for the argument unit for an ENL standalone class. So you can also use it for integrated ELA, or if you've got any other types of teachers on here, you're welcome to use it however you see fit. But this is an example of a very interactive doc that's linked. All right, I'm going to jump back out and check out some comments. Any questions? Okay, how do you record a student's voice in doc? Ooh, that's a great question. It's actually an extension. So if you want more information about that, you can check out my YouTube channel, or you can check out my advanced trainings, which you'll have a link to. When students submit work, is there a way for all the docs and slides to fall into a specific folder versus all bunched up in my drive? That is a great point. And right now, to my knowledge, you're not allowed to organize it in your drive, which is why when they create that folder in your drive, I say ignore it. Use Google Classroom as your interface to be able to navigate different assignments. That's the only workaround I found right now, but you're right, it can get a little overwhelming. Can you share a Google Doc with a non-Google user? Great question. Yes. However, in order for them to be able to like make a copy of it or interact with the document, so they're able to type and things like that. It's a live doc online. But if they want to be able to use some of the more advanced features of Google Docs, then they would need to have a Google user account. But if they have a Gmail account, they can do that right from there. Great questions. All right, I'm going to jump back in. You're welcome. I'm going to make sure I share my screen because I already made that mistake once. And I just want to make a point. If you're recording on Screencastify or doing anything with apps online, make mistakes in front of your kids. Don't re-record it for 20, 50 times. It's helpful for them to see you make mistakes so that they can feel comfortable making mistakes. So let them do that. Let yourself do that. Give yourself that permission to make a mistake. So be kind to yourself. Okay, Google Slides. So I'm on a slideshow right now. Here's a quick tutorial. There's my biology video again. What's great is a lot of teachers are creating Google Slides right now for instruction, and I've done that from when I was teaching. So I'll show you a couple of quick tips for Google Slides. So you're coming to new, and you have Google Slides. Now I want to just let you know some of the tools that we'll use are going to be in more. And if you like the whiteboard effect, if you need a whiteboard for while you're teaching online, check out Jamboard, but I'm not going to cover that today. So Google Slides, we have a new slide, and we've got a blank presentation. Now, if you like my fun template that I have from Slides Carnival, you're gonna go right there, and it's gonna have you make a copy of their slide. That's totally up to you. But for right now, we title it similarly to how we did in Docs, sample slides. And right now I have one slide. I can give it a title. I can add in subtitles. But if I want more slides, I go to the plus sign. And if I do that, it's just going to give me whatever slide it thinks should be next. So it's got a title and then text. But if I want different options, I click the arrow and I can have a bunch of different options for that. Or I can just make my own. Maybe I create a blank one and I want to insert a text box, an image. And if you notice, the video option is there too. This is where you can embed YouTube videos. So you can find that there. That's how I was able to embed all the YouTube videos for you. So see this video right here? That's actually a video I've linked for you, and that's how I embedded it into slides. You can do shapes, tables. It's a lot like PowerPoint. So I'm not going to go into great detail, but I do want to share with you, it's similar to Docs in that if you have students creating this or collaborating on a similar slide, you can give them feedback by clicking on or highlighting text and then use the comment feature again. And then you as the teacher can give feedback right inside here. And then you can see here, there's a little comment. When they navigate to this slide, if they click on the comment, they'll see what you commented on. Add new slides, insert separate text boxes. You can do that, share an image, share it with other people, and then insert a comment. It's the same thing as we did with Docs. And then if you want to share with people, you can do the same process there. Okay, I know I'm moving fast. Take a breath. You can always rewatch this. Laura, I'm recording this for everyone. So here, if you're ready for more advanced, here's an interactive slide. Now, please excuse that it's not finished, but I'm creating this to give out for pre-K3 teachers at our Auburn. So down here in the comments, it's linked, but essentially what I've done is, and I'm making a video for how to do that, so I can absolutely link that. If you want to come back to the slides later, I'll link it here, and I'll put it up on my Auburn site too. But this is just a screenshot of another fun slide template. And what I did was I created a weekly schedule of how I might be teaching maybe kindergartners at this time. And then see the underlines for each of these text boxes. I've linked it to different slides within the slideshow. So in my video, I'll show you how to do that. But I'm creating something as if I were teaching a kindergarten class with slides. So I'll show you how to do that in a later video. Okay, I'm gonna stop, go back for questions. How do you search for specific slides in Slides Carnival? That is a great question. So in Slides Carnival, there is a little search at the top, and then at the top, the very top with all the options, it has different types. So there's elegant types, there's creative and fun, and I usually just type in education and it brings up all those fun ones. And I'm part of the Capital District Auburn. Thank you for asking. We're based in Castleton. I am in Half Moon right now in my home office. And so if you go to auburn.org, you can check out a lot of our recorded PDs and options. All right, I'm heading back for the interest of time. We've still got 15 minutes. Take a breath. I hope you're getting lunch at some point. Okay, Google Drawings. So the reason why I show drawings is because those math teachers are near and dear to my heart. Oftentimes they say, I can't teach on Google Classroom because I can't use Docs to teach math. And so I teach Google Drawings, and then I recommend Jamboard as well, I mentioned a few minutes ago, because it is like a whiteboard, and you can upload, like if you have a worksheet that already has a math problem, students can actually take their finger or stylus, and if they're using a touch screen tablet or device, they can mark on the Jamboard or on drawings to be able to do that. And annotations can happen on top of Google Classroom as well, but that's more geeky than I'm going to get into right now. But drawings is a great way to have more like a paint option. So if you need visuals, if you're trying to create like graphic organizers, I use that with drawings. So more Google Drawings. And it's just a little bit more flexible in my opinion than like a Docs, because with Docs, you can only move images so far and they can only go on, underneath text or around text. But with drawings, we're gonna do a test drawing here and see we've got a background. This is just a blank background here. You can change the background, right click, change the background. You can insert, similarly, you can do a text box, you can insert an image, a shape or a table. Charts and diagrams is in the advanced version of drawings. So if you're a math teacher and you want them to be able to graph, I've linked a video for you as well. And it's very similar to Paint. And again, share, comment, those same two features that we've been talking about. And create and format shapes, so you can use shapes in there. Alrighty, so in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. Thank you for your patience. There's the charts and diagrams. Okay, drawings, uses for students who are learning language. So maybe creating custom graphic organizers that they can complete, put those text boxes in. You can also allow your English language learners to demonstrate their understanding in a visual way. This gives them kind of like a blank canvas as long as they know how to use it. Insert images, maybe label those images with text boxes. That can absolutely be an alternative assessment. Incorporate your Google Drawings with Google Docs and slides, and you can have a visual representation. And then some tech tools that you can use with Google Drawings. You've got images. This is an extension, Got Picture, Got Talk. Canva, if you already use that. Okay, I'm going into bonus Google tools, and then I go to questions because that was kind of fast. Are you ready? So we've got Duolingo, Google Translate, and then Polyglot. So if you're using this with language learners, Duolingo is a great app to practice language. And then I also have a video down here of if you set the student's L1 to like another language, I have the one explained in Spanish that you can send home to families, since that's our top home language here in New York State. But you can see how everything's translated so that the student can learn in L1, but you can be learning English in that English topic. Google Translate is great. This is a video of how you can use the hover over feature. And then this is a great little video of two elementary school students speaking into Google Translate, one in Portuguese, one in English. So you can check that out. And Polyglot is an extension for your Chrome browser. So on my Chrome browser, I have a couple of different extensions. So usually it would be at the top here. This is Firefox, but if you have Chrome open, these are different areas for where extensions can be up there. And so this would translate live websites, including news articles and emails and things like that, to native language. Just remember, it works on a code. So anything that uses the translation code is going to be a rough translation. Okay, so those are all the translation tools. I want to jump to the chat, see if I can answer some questions. Thanks, Laura. You're amazing. Translates anything in Google Classroom. Oh, that's a great question. I've never tried it on top of Google Classroom, but I would recommend you try it. It translates things on websites, and it depends on the code of the website. So if I had an image that had text in it, and it was coded a certain way on the website, then it's possible Polyglot wouldn't pick it up. But it really just depends on the coding. And I'm happy to get into real geeky terms and show you how to view the source and the HTML code on the website to determine whether or not it'll translate. But I'm guessing that might be a little too deep for this session. Any other questions? Does it translate videos or just text? So Polyglot just translates text. However, on the YouTube slide, I do show you how you can change the settings for either inserting captions in other languages, or you can also, on some of the videos, depending on the video settings, change it to different languages. And did you see, if you use Nearpod, then Nearpod just came out with a text reading app, and then it also has translation tools as well. Is there a Duolingo help video? So I did link on that slide for Duolingo how it works, and then also the Spanish video. But I would recommend anytime I need a help video or when I'm learning new things, I would go onto YouTube and type in Duolingo and then whatever task you're trying to use. So Duolingo, language switch or something like that. So I would definitely search for that, but I don't know if there is one yet. If there's not, create it with Screencastify. It's pretty cool. All right, I'm heading back to the slides so that we can take advantage of the bonus tools that I gave you. Okay. Extras, ready? So I've linked for you lots of online resources here. It's a spreadsheet. But think about ways you can use the Google apps that I've showed you to creatively have recovery activities. So just like right now, I've probably been talking at you for a long time, your head might be spinning a little bit. Students need recovery activities as well. So some of the game things like Starfall or ABC or other game-based activities can be used post them on Google Classroom in a link, and then have them just say, you know, choose whatever favorite game you want to play for the next 15 minutes. And that could be a recovery activity. And then keep a list of online games for activities for when they need downtime. You can absolutely post that. And I linked for you the spreadsheet by grade level that we've been adding to and compiling. Our Arbor and Tech Toolbox. So I've linked for you our huge repository of tools. If you're in New York State, remember we did go to EdLaw 2D in January. So if any of these tools that you're sharing with students collect personally identifiable information, PII, you need to check with your district data protection officer to make sure that it is compliant for your district. Otherwise, it could be collecting student info and then selling it to advertising companies. So we want to be careful with that. But our tech toolbox, if you look on the left, we've got lots of different collection of tools for interactive assessments, communication tools, produce and publish, translation tools. So basically, like I did for you here today, it showcases a bunch of tools and then shows you what their use is. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the toolbox here if you need more training. So I didn't cover forms in detail because I wanted to be conscious of your time. But what I will do is give you access to my level 1 and level 2 training that I did at NYS TESOL conference in the fall. If you didn't get a chance to go, it's amazing. Try to go this year. It's the 50th anniversary. It's going to be amazing when we can all get back in person. But I put my sites and also my YouTube channel up there as well. And then I credited Slides Carnival here. So the only thing I want to add on is the forms. So what's great about Google Forms that I didn't add into these slides is Google Forms let you now insert images to go along with your text. So all I did was put in text here and then I insert image. I'll show you how I did that here, adding a question. And then when I select my option, see when I hover over it, I've got a little image icon here. That's how I added the images. So I was able to put the sun and add a little searched image here. That way our students can have a visual. Remember, using visuals is one of those best practices for ELLs, but I would argue it's best practices for a lot of learners, especially if you're working with younger learners. So one quick thing about Google Quiz or Google Forms, if you're going to use these for your Google Classroom, your first question should always be your name, because we've got a lot of quizzes that are out there that already don't have names on them, and so there's no way to track that unless they have their name. And then you want to make sure too that if you go to the settings, you want to collect their email addresses, they'll have to sign in first. If you want to limit it to one response so that they only use that one email for one response, I do that for voting. They can edit after submit, presentation-wise, and then you can also make it a quiz from here by toggling over, and then you can have it grade as you go. So then it'll give you a new option. So see, now I have this new option, answer key. I can assign it a point, and then I can select whatever run. I'm not reading the question, but now I'm going to say space is the right answer. And then it will grade it right for you after they submit it. It's not going to submit that grade in Google Classroom because it wants you to be able to go through, review the grade, and then give it a grade in Classroom. And then in responses, once you get responses, they'll show up here, and then you can see your data in a spreadsheet. It'll create a spreadsheet for you. But again, way too geeky for this session. This is just an overview. Any other questions? Questions. Ooh, we've got our CTLE link. Excellent. So, ooh, yes. Okay, thank you, Laura. So in the chat, you're going to see 2 links. One, you want to join NYS TESOL 2020. $20.20 is a steal. And you also want to apply for CTLE. So if you need those credits, remember 15% for all educators and administrators in the state if you have a certain number of ELLs in your district. But if you're a TESOL educator, you need 50% over 5 years. So make sure you're getting those CTLEs if you need them. All right, for the last 4 minutes, I think you're done hearing my voice, so I'll open it up to questions. But otherwise, I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Thank you so much for everything you are doing for your ELLs at this time. I'm amazed every day when I talk to teachers who are just still pushing, still coming up with new ideas, who normally would be working in the classroom just as hard. So I so appreciate you. I'm going to put the link again to our slides so that you have them, and lots of thank yous. You are all amazing. I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Yes, I know it wasn't a lot of information. Thank you.